A lot of people think that there is no moral significance to the way that we vote. You just pull a lever for a D or an R or some other political party, and that's that. There's no moral weight to what we're doing. It's just politics. But I disagree with this. I think it's patently false. Politics is a moral enterprise, and therefore voting is a moral enterprise. Now, why would I say that politics is a moral enterprise? Well, when they pass laws, what are they passing laws for? For the common good. They're passing laws to promote what is morally good or to prohibit what is morally evil. Now, different politicians will disagree over what is right and what is wrong, and that's why we have different positions on issues, but they all agree that what they're trying to do is to legislate morality. That's why I find it so ironic when people say you can't legislate morality. Of course you can. In fact, that's all you should legislate. If you're not legislating morality, then what are you legislating? Mere personal likes and dislikes? Raw power? No, all of our laws have a moral component to them, and that's what we're trying to legislate. But because you have differences of opinion on what is good and what is evil, different parties and different politicians will take different positions on various issues, whether it be abortion, whether it be marriage, illegal immigration, legalization of marijuana, transgender. They each have a different vision of what the moral good is, and therefore they come to different positions on these particular issues and try to legislate different laws in regards to these things. You know who else is concerned about morality? God. God is also concerned about morality. In fact, he instituted government for the purpose of promoting what is morally good and punishing what is morally evil. We read about this in Romans chapter 13. So if politics is concerned with what is morally good, and God is concerned with what is morally good, then it follows that God is concerned with politics. He instituted politics, and he wants those politics to reflect his moral nature, his moral character. It follows then that God is morally concerned with the way we vote. It's often said that, well, God doesn't take sides. God isn't a Republican. He's not a Democrat. Well, of course, he's not a Republican or a Democrat. But that doesn't mean that God doesn't take sides at all. Insofar as each political party and other smaller political parties take positions on moral issues, then God is either going to side with them on that issue or he's not going to side with them on that issue. If God is opposed to abortion, then he is not going to side with a party that promotes it. Now, I realize that there's no such thing as a party that completely reflects God's moral character and that is 100% moral. Each party is going to be a mixed bag of good moral policies and bad moral policies. So this is not a question of which is God's party in the sense of perfection. However, you are going to have certain parties that will be more closely aligned with God's perspective than other parties. So let me ask you a question. If Party A, out of 10 different policies that have moral ramifications, Party A takes God's side on 8 of those, and they oppose God's perspective on 2, and then Party B, they take God's side on 5 of those issues, and they side against God on 5 others, which party do you think more closely aligns with God? Whose side would he take? If his goal is to promote justice, you're not going to have God siding with a party that is going to do more injustice in this world because they are promoting more evils. He would side with the party that is going to do more moral good and less moral evil. And I think we should make clear that not all sins are the same. We often say, well, sin is sin. All sin is the same. That's not true. Jesus said how the one who turned me over to you has the greater sin. He talked about the weightier matters of the law. In Proverbs, we read about, there are 6 things the Lord hates, yea, even 7 he detests. Emphasizing that the 7th one is the worst of all. There is much in the Bible that talks about this. There are different degrees of sin. Some sins are worse than others. Some goods are better than others. I mean, it's obvious to everybody that both lying and murder are wrong, but clearly murder is of a greater moral significance than lying. So when it comes to moral issues, not only do we have to count, of this party agrees with God's perspective in 8 areas, and this one only 5, but we also have to weigh those moral issues, because some issues matter more than other issues do. So while there are a lot of moral issues that are facing our country and a lot of moral issues that are being decided in the political arena, we have to decide which are the ones that are most weighty before God. Which ones matter most to God? And once we've determined that, then we look at the various parties and the candidates and we say, which party most accurately reflects what concerns God the most? And then we vote accordingly. So I think it's pretty clear that how we vote does have moral significance. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk about what I think is the one issue that matters more than all other issues and should inform the way we vote. So stay tuned.